The Community Rating System Section 300 Public Information Activities provide credits to communities that perform local activities that inform the public about flood hazards, flood insurance, and flood protection measures. The activities can be directed toward floodplain residents, property owners, insurance agents, real estate agents, or other locals. One activity, 310, elevation certificates, is mandatory for CRS classification. There are 8 public information activities: public information, elevation certificates, map information service, outreach projects, hazard disclosure, flood protection information, flood protection assistance, and flood insurance promotion. The following slides provide a summary of the public information activities. The purpose of Activity 310, Elevation Certificates, is to maintain correct Federal Emergency Management Agency elevation certificates and other needed certifications for new and substantially improved buildings in the special flood hazard area. According to insurance agents, one of the greatest impediments to selling flood insurance is the difficulty of obtaining accurate data on the flood insurance rating zone and building elevation. All of the technical data an agent needs should be recorded on the FEMA elevation certificate. Communities are required to maintain a record of the elevation of the lowest floor of any new building or substantial improvement built in the special flood hazard area. The CRS considers accurately completed elevation certificates to be evidence of a community's full compliance with the minimum requirements of the NFIP. Therefore, elevation certificates that are not accurately completed are taken as an indication that the community may not be in full compliance, and continued participation in the CRS may become an issue. Elements of this activity include maintaining elevation certificates for post-firm buildings, and maintaining elevation certificates for pre-firm buildings. All communities applying to the CRS must apply for the maintaining elevation certificates element. The community must make copies of the certificates available to all inquirers. EC credit is provided if the community maintains elevation certificates since the date of application to the CRS. If no buildings have been built or substantially improved in the special flood hazard area since the CRS application date, the community receives full credit for EC. The CRS prefers to see no buildings in the floodplain rather than provide credit for records on those that have been built. Points are available for maintaining elevation certificates on buildings built before the date of the application to the CRS, but after the initial date of the flood insurance rate map. ECPO credits are provided if completed elevation certificates are maintained for all buildings built or substantially improved in the special flood hazard area between the date of the community's initial firm and the date of application to the CRS. Points are available for maintaining elevation certificates on buildings built before the initial date of the firm. ECPR credit is provided if completed certificates are maintained for buildings that were constructed in the special flood hazard area before the date of the community's initial flood insurance rate map. The purpose of Activity 320, Map Information Service, is to provide inquirers with information about the local flood hazard and about flood-prone areas that need special protection because of their natural functions. Maps are an effective method of communicating information about flood hazard. Residents and businesses that are aware of potential flood hazards can take steps to avoid problems and reduce their exposure to flooding. Communities are the best source of map information because they can often supplement and clarify the flood insurance rate map with complementary maps and with information on additional hazards. Points can be earned for basic firm information, including providing basic information found on a flood insurance rate map that is needed to accurately rate a flood insurance policy. For additional firm information, credits are available for providing information that is shown on most firms, for example, floodways. Problems not shown on the firms includes points for providing information about flood problems other than those shown on the firm. Flood depth data provides points for providing information about flood depth. Special flood-related hazards provides points for providing information about special flood-related hazards such as erosion and ice jams. Historical flood information provides points for providing information about past flooding at or near the site in question. And natural floodplain functions provides points for providing information about areas that should be protected because of their natural floodplain functions. A community can receive credits for providing basic information found on a firm that is needed to accurately rate a flood insurance policy. If requested, the community must provide all of the following firm information: whether the property is in the special flood hazard area, the community number, the panel number and suffix, the date of the firm's index, the firm zone, the base flood elevation where shown on the firm, and the elevation datum used on the firm if other than NGVD. There are some credits provided for coastal communities that do not apply for Kentucky. If the community's firm does not show any floodways, there is no credit for the additional firm information element. The problems not shown on the firm credit is for providing information about flood problems other than those shown on the firm. Examples include, but are not limited to, areas predicted to be flooded in the future because of climate change, local drainage problems, areas mapped and regulated outside of the special flood hazard area, and a levee or dam failure inundation zone. The credit for flood depth data is for providing information about how deep flood waters can be anticipated to be in a given area of the community. The depth of expected flooding gives the inquirer a better concept of the flood hazard than does the base flood elevation alone. The special flood-related hazards credit is for providing information about special flood-related hazards in the community. If the community is receiving CRS credit for mapping and regulating one of the special flood-related hazard areas described in Section 401, Special Flood Hazard Areas, or credited elsewhere, inquirers should be advised whether the property falls within a special flood-related hazard area and any of the additional regulatory requirements the community may have for developing properties in that area. Creditable special flood-related hazards for Kentucky include uncertain flow paths, closed basin lake, ice jams, land subsidence, and mud flow hazard. Historical flood information credits are for providing information about past floods that have occurred at or near the site in question. National Floodplain Functions credit is for providing information about areas that should be protected because of their natural floodplain functions. Many types of maps show such areas, including but not limited to the National Wetlands Inventory, areas mapped as critical habitat, areas identified in state or regional programs, program maps of existing and potential conservation areas, areas receiving Natural Floodplain Functions credit, areas identified in a Natural Floodplain Functions plan. The purpose of Activity 330 Outreach Project is to provide the public with information needed to increase flood hazard awareness and to encourage actions to reduce flood damage, increase flood insurance coverage, and protect natural functions of floodplains. Two types of outreach projects are credited. 1. Outreach projects that are distributed every year, and 2. Projects that will be distributed when a flood occurs but are prepared in advance and updated each year. The credits for these two types of projects are based on three factors: what and how many messages are conveyed, what type of projects they are, such as information materials that people pick up, activities that reach out to people, or projects targeted to a specific audience, and how often they are delivered. OP projects must be delivered at least once each year. FRP projects must be delivered at least once during or after a flood. There are 6 priority messages. 1. Know your flood hazard. 2. Insure your property for your flood hazard. 3. Protect people from the hazard. 4. Build responsibly. 5. Protect your property from the hazard. And 6. Protect natural floodplain function. 332 elements are outreach projects. Points are available for designing and carrying out public outreach projects. Credits for individual projects may be increased if the community has a program for public information. To receive credit, projects must be disseminated at least annually to the audience, and at least one project must convey a message on the topic of flood insurance. Flood response preparations points are available for having pre-flood plan for public information activities ready for the next flood. FRP credits developing a pre-flood plan for public information projects that will be implemented during and after a flood. An FRP package is a collection of outreach projects prepared in advance but not delivered until a flood occurs. Examples of FRP messages include evacuation routes, shelter locations, turn around, don't drown, when it is safe to go back, don't enter a flooded building until it has been cleared by an inspector, get a permit for repairs, substantial damage rules, mitigation opportunities during repairs, and information on mitigation grants. Program for Public Information or PPI points are added to OP credits and up to 20 points added to FRP credits for projects that are designed and implemented as part of an overall public information program. Stakeholder delivery points are added to OP credits for having information disseminated by people or groups from outside the local government. Section 340 is hazard disclosure. Its elements include disclosure of the flood hazard. Points are available if a real estate agents notify those interested in purchasing properties located in the special flood hazard area about the flood hazard and about flood insurance purchase requirements. Other disclosure requirements are other methods of flood hazard disclosures required by law that can receive credits. A real estate agent's brochure gives credit if the real estate agents are providing brochures or handouts that advise potential buyers to investigate the flood hazard for a property. And disclosure of other hazard points are available if the notification to prospective buyers includes disclosure of other flood-related hazards such as erosion, subsidence, or wetlands. Section 350 includes flood protection information. A community can earn points for having 10 Federal Emergency Management Agency publications on flood protection topics housed in a public library. Points are available for having additional references on the community's flood problem or local or state floodplain management programs housed in the public library. And points are also available for providing flood protection information via the community's website. Additional points are provided if the website is part of a program for public information. Section 360, Flood Protection Assistance, includes points for the following elements: property protection advice, for providing one-on-one advice about property protection, such as retrofitting techniques and drainage improvements; protection advice provided after a site visit if the property protection advisor makes a site visit before providing the advice. Additional points are provided if the site visit procedures are part of a program for public information. Financial assistance advice points are available for providing advice on financial assistance programs that may be available. Advisor training points are available if the person providing the advice has graduated from the EMI courses on retrofitting or grants programs. Points are available. This slide illustrates an example of a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers resource regarding local flood proofing programs. This is a good resource for communities that are starting flood protection assistance programs. Section 370, Flood Insurance Promotion, includes the following elements: flood insurance coverage assessment. Credits are available for assessing the community's current level of coverage and identifying shortcomings. Coverage improvement plan points are available for a plan prepared by a committee that has a representation from local insurance agents and lenders. Coverage Improvement Plan implementation credits are available for implementing the projects in this Coverage Improvement Plan. And technical assistance points can be earned by the community providing advice about flood insurance. This concludes our Community Rating System 300 Series Learning Module. For more information, please consult our other learning modules or contact the Risk Communication Specialist at the Kentucky Division of Water.